A new comic in the story of the rise of Kylo Ren came out today, where we finally see Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo battle the Knights of Ren. In today's special episode of Star Wars Timelines, we're going to be looking over this comic, so sit back, relax and have some blue milk. Welcome to Star Wars Timelines. We start off with Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo and Lor San Tekka on their way to collect a Jedi artifact in an outpost near the unknown regions on a planet called Ephrona. We learn here the artifact was most likely from the High Republic era, a time where Jedi activity expanded throughout the galaxy. While Luke and Tekka discuss the artifact, Ben is secretly communicating with Snoke, telling Snoke exactly where they are going. Ben expresses his frustration to Snoke, feeling that they are wasting their time and that he feels useless. He continues that he does admire Luke, but feels like he is being held back. Snoke fuels his frustration, making comments to do this on purpose, much like Palpatine did with Anakin. Luke and Lor then turn to Ben, giving him some information, with Luke expressing how glad he is that Ben came along with them. We then jump to in front of the Jedi Temple, a grand entrance built into the cave with some Jedi markings and statues surrounding it. It is well preserved and looks very much intact. Nonetheless, it is sealed up. Luke warns Ben about the dangers of temple traps before beginning to head down into the temple. After entering the temple, what they thought was an outpost turns out to be a treasure trove. The Jedi had used the temple as a storage site, full of dozens of artifacts, including holocrons, but not just limited to Jedi holocrons, Sith ones as well. Luke remarked that it might have been even better than the former Jedi librarian Jocasta Nu's vault. Ben and Luke then quickly begin to sense something cold. They turn around to find the Knights of Ren were also inside the temple. The Knights claimed they would be taking the cash, however Luke remarked how incorrect they were. Luke remarks that the outpost belongs to the Jedi Order, and as the last Jedi, that means it belongs to him, although he remarks he will not be the last Jedi for long. He then also says that even if he were not, he senses the dark side on all of the Knights and wouldn't let them take it anyway. Ren then threatens Luke when Ben Solo steps in to warn the Knights of who Luke is, describing him as a legend. Ren then introduces himself as his comrades as the Knights of Ren, describing himself also as a legend, then activates his lightsaber to prepare for combat. Luke commands Lor to get back and for Ben to protect Lor. Ben remarks there are 7 of them and only 1 of him. Luke activates his weapon, saying he'll be just fine anyway. Ren taunts Luke, to which Luke responds with a different yet more effective taunt. Ren then commands the Knights to attack, all of them raising their weapons and attacking Luke, remarking that Luke is only one man. Luke defends himself and reminds them that he is not alone. He continues the battle and describes how the Force is his ally and is more powerful than any of them. He then begins to thrash the Knights, sending 2 of them flying into a wall. One of the Knights of Ren fires his blaster at Luke. Luke turns to deflect the blaster fire into one of the other Knights and tells them how untrained and clumsy they are. That they use the dark side like a hammer, whereas the light side is a blade, as is Luke. Ben and Lor watch the battle from a close distance, admiring Luke's combat techniques, with Lor describing Luke as magnificent. Luke gives the Knights a moment to surrender, asking if they've had enough. The Knights refuse, saying that they still have the numbers. Luke remarks that they do not, and uses the Force to pick up their weapons and breaks them. Ren then steps forward, saying it's just him left now with his lightsaber, and that if Luke wanted the lightsaber, he'd have to take it. He then admits Luke probably could take it, as he is obviously strong in the Force, but as he's saying this, he clicks a switch on his lightsaber. He then points his lightsaber towards Luke and warns him that if the hilt leaves his hand, it would explode, destroying him, Ben, Lor, and the temple with it. He asks Luke, what now? Luke, with his saber still active, explains this won't end the way he thinks it would. Ren gives in, saying he'll take his people and leave. But before leaving, Ren reminds Luke that the dark side flows through all of them, but then tells Luke that Ben has the same shadow in him as well. Luke ignores his comments and tells him it's time to leave. Ren reaches for his mask, saying that he knows. He then unmasks and asks Ben if this is the life that Ben wants, and goes on to say that there is another path. Luke gives him one more chance to leave. Ren throws down his mask to Ben and tempts him again to learn more about the Shadow. That is all we have now for this episode of Star Wars Timelines. The Rise of Kylo Ren Issue 2 is available now. While this story in the episode is only one part of the comic, the whole series uncovers Ben's fall to the dark side and how he became Kylo Ren. But that story is for another episode. For now, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.